The price of greed. In the bustling city of New Haven, where towering skyscrapers met narrow alleyways, lived a man named Daniel Carter. Daniel had always been an ambitious man, striving to climb the corporate ladder at any cost. He worked at a prestigious investment firm, spending long hours poring over financial reports and market trends. But no matter how much he earned, it was never enough. He dreamed of luxury cars, penthouse apartments, and vacations on private islands. One evening, as he was leaving the office late at night, he stumbled upon an old friend, Thomas Gray. Thomas had once been a brilliant investor, but had mysteriously vanished from the financial world. He now looked disheveled, wearing a worn-out coat and shoes that had seen better days. "Thomas, is that really you?" Daniel asked in shock. Thomas gave a weary smile. "It's me, Daniel. It's been a long time. What happened to you?" Daniel inquired. "You were one of the best in the business." Thomas hesitated, then sighed. "Greed, Daniel. I wanted more than I needed, more than I could handle. I made a deal that I thought would change my life, and it did, just not in the way I expected." Daniel was intrigued. "What kind of deal?" Thomas looked around nervously before speaking in a hushed tone. "There's a man, a mysterious benefactor, who grants people unimaginable wealth. But there's always a cost. I took his offer, and now, well, you can see where I ended up." Daniel scoffed. "That sounds like a fairy tale. Wealth doesn't just appear out of nowhere." Thomas grabbed his arm, his eyes desperate. "I'm warning you, Daniel. If you ever come across him, walk away. No amount of money is worth what he takes from you." Daniel chuckled, shaking his head. "You always were a dramatic one, Thomas." That night, as Daniel lay in bed, he couldn't stop thinking about what Thomas had said. He dismissed it as nonsense, but a part of him was curious. What if such a benefactor did exist? And what if Daniel could get what he always wanted? A week later, he received an invitation. An elegant, handwritten note slipped under his office door. "If wealth is what you seek, come to the abandoned building on West Street at midnight. But be warned, all riches come with a price." Daniel's heart raced. He knew it was foolish, but the temptation was too strong. At exactly midnight, he arrived at the location. The building was old, its windows shattered, its walls covered in graffiti. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. A single candle flickered on a wooden table in the center of the room. Behind it sat a man in a black suit, his face partially obscured by shadows. "Welcome, Mr. Carter," the man said in a smooth, velvety voice. "I hear you desire wealth beyond your imagination." Daniel hesitated but nodded. "Yes. But what's the catch?" The man smiled. A wise question. Everything has a cost, Mr. Carter. You will receive $10 million, but in exchange, I will take something from you. You will not know what it is until the deal is done. Daniel's mind raced. $10 million. He could retire, travel the world, buy anything he wanted. But what would he lose? Do you accept? The man asked, extending his hand. Daniel swallowed hard, then shook the man's hand. The moment their hands touched, Daniel felt a strange sensation, as if something invisible was being pulled from his body. A wave of dizziness washed over him, and then everything went black. When he woke up, he was in his apartment. He quickly checked his phone and saw an alert from his bank. His account balance now showed $10 million. It worked. At first, everything seemed perfect. Daniel quit his job, bought a luxurious penthouse, and traveled the world. But soon, he started noticing strange things. People looked at him differently, not with admiration or envy, but with indifference. Conversations with friends felt hollow, as if he were invisible. He tried to reconnect with his family, but they barely acknowledged him. It was as if he had become a ghost in their lives. Then it hit him. He had lost his presence, his significance. No matter where he went, no one truly noticed him. His words carried no weight, his actions left no impact. He was rich beyond measure, yet utterly alone. Desperate, he sought out Thomas. He found him in a small cafe, sipping a cup of coffee. "Thomas," Daniel said, but Thomas didn't react. "Thomas," he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. Thomas looked up slowly, his eyes dull. "Daniel." "It happened to me," Daniel whispered. "I took the deal." Thomas sighed. "And now you understand." "How do I fix this?" Daniel pleaded. "You don't," Thomas said. "The deal is permanent. You have all the money in the world, but you no longer matter. No one will ever truly see you again." Daniel refused to accept it. He tried donating money, building charities, and helping the less fortunate. But no matter what he did, people forgot about him the moment he left the room. One night, in desperation, he returned to the abandoned building. The man in the black suit was waiting. "Mr. Carter," he said with a smirk, "I take it you are unsatisfied with our arrangement?" "Take it back," Daniel begged. "Take the money, just give me my presence back." The man shook his head. "I'm afraid the deal is final. But I can offer you another arrangement." Daniel hesitated. "What kind of arrangement?" "A trade," the man said. "Your wealth for another soul to take your place." Daniel froze. He knew what the man meant. If he wanted to be seen again, he would have to condemn someone else to his fate. He thought about all the people he knew, the colleagues who had envied his success, the rivals who had tried to outshine him. But could he really do that to someone? In the end, he couldn't. He walked away, knowing he would spend the rest of his life as a wealthy, forgotten man. And so, Daniel Carter had everything he had ever wanted, except the one thing that truly mattered.